Okay, welcome back. So we saw the code behind table view, but we saw that didn't give the result we were quite expecting, since we didn't wire everything together. So let's now see how we do this in iOS. So now I promise you this in the remainder of the talk. This will be all nice and shiny, making and developing and laying out views. So it will be more interesting, I think. So now storyboarding. This is also new since iOS 5 actually. So pretty new. Storyboarding is like you are making an animated movie and you make storyboards. You really design your application using storyboards. That's the main principle behind what Apple gave to us. Because in the early days we still had interface builders. We still have it, but now it adds support for storyboarding. You could design a view per view in a WYSIWYG editor, but yeah, making things flow, so the navigation, configuring the navigation of everything, was still needed to be done in code. So there was no visual aid to show you this screen will go to the other screen, and then you will come back to this screen. So there was no visual aid for that. So that's why they invented the storyboard. So it enables you to not only design your views in a WYSIWYG editor, but also your flows. So let's create the storyboard for our little application here. So I got this great tip that I can directly switch, well, but not if I'm in a presentation actually. So let me, and now, no, 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 demo time doesn't work. So let me reopen what I need. I probably need to let this show as well. Now it works. Great. Thanks for the tip. So we have our code. Now let's make the storyboard. So the first thing we need to do, again, to make it more beautiful is we will create this view group. And we will now create a new file. And this time, I'm not going to make a class. I'm going to make a storyboard. So that's in the user interface category. So here we have storyboard. So let's go and create one. We will create only for iPhone. You can also create one for iPad, but since we're not supporting this in this demo, we just pick iPhone for this one. And we call it storyboard. That's okay. We will only have one for the application, which normally is the case. So let's create that one. And then I get this, and now I'm going to hide the structure a bit and the console as well. So now I get this, this screen with blank page, basically, and I can start moving things up there. So we know that we created a table view controller. So in here, in my object inspector, I get a little help if I click on it, but I can just move it on stage. And there you go, there you have the representation of a table view. So, nice. Now, if I want to make sure that my class is used, I have to tell interface builder that I want to use my own custom class, and that's what I'm doing here in the identity inspector. I will put a class, and if I start typing, it will automatically look in my code for UI table view controllers, and it will suggest me the master table view controller. So that's what it did there. And I can even jump to it. If I click the little arrow there, I jump to the class at hand. So there we go. Then it resets. So that's a small bug. Okay. So now master table view controller is wired in my interface builder. So now this this table view knows that it needs to look at my class. It will generate my class instead of the default one. So that's nice. But still, if I run it, nothing happens. Yeah, still blank screen. That's because I didn't tell my runtime that I'm using storyboards. And this I can do. Let me switch back to the regular view. So in my application, I need to say that for iPhone, I'm using a storyboard, and now I can select this one, So there we go. Now he knows there's a storyboard. Let's have a look. This is exciting. No, still doesn't work. Yeah. But that's normal because of that code that I told you that we still needed to remove. Actually, we are using the storyboard, but on startup, it just overrides what we see with this part, with this code. So we need to remove it. So instead of creating ourselves a window, the storyboard will do that for us now. So let him do it. Build. And what we see is we see the table cell. I don't know if it's visual. Yeah, it's visual or not. Yeah, but still no data. Yeah. So we will need to have a look what's going on. So we know that our class. I know what I did wrong there. I put it in the wrong. So you have to know what you're doing, right? So there's table view. I have put the class here. Yeah. So that's okay. The table view is there. The table cell is there. What I'm still missing, and actually, I forgot about this one, but actually, Xcode is already helping me. It's telling me that my cell isn't prototyped yet. Remember the identifier. Let me go back to the code. We are using the cell identifier person cell. Interface builder needs to know about this one as well, because actually, this is where the magic comes from. It will look at your interface builder and look for the cell to create one, but it doesn't find it, so it basically creates nothing. So I will have to put on this cell, making sure that I selected the cell. I have to go in the property inspector, and I have here the reuse identifier. So I need to put in person cell. Yeah, so you have to get to you have to learn interface builder a bit. And no, still no work. It's demo time. Things are failing. So yeah, I made a typo maybe. Cell. This is okay. Let me have a look. So here I create a cell. I put the person in. Let me show you. This is demo time, so it's a good point also to show you that you can debug your application. So let's first check if it enters this table view already. So let me check. No, it isn't requesting any data. So that means that or I don't have any data, and I don't have any data if nothing is in the person cell. So it will probably come here. Let's have a look. It will come there. Yeah, there's my breakpoint. You saw it switching. But I will see that persons, if I look here, persons is all 0, so that means nil. So actually what I forgot about, and I already know by seeing that that is nil, as I said, calling nil just returns in default values. So in this case, 0 is returned. Yeah? So great demo, right? Yeah? So what I need to do, obviously, my person array didn't get initialized yet. I'm using it, but it's still nil. And like in Java, all instance variables are instantiated at nil. So I first need to make sure that I initialize my persons. So again, this is NS mutable array, and we know now that this is the alloc init, and just leave it at that, just init. That's enough. There you go. So hopefully, now I can see, there they are, my persons. Little applause, no? No, okay. Good. So this is my table view, but obviously this doesn't do much. I can click it, well, here on my laptop I click it. This is, by the way, the simulator. You get it for free when you install Xcode, and it works rather well. So basically you still need to test on the devices, but 99% of the problems you are already going to discover in this simulator. So if you click, nothing happens, but that's logical because we didn't do much. But the data is there, okay? So now let's move on back to the presentation. Nope. So command, this one, no. This one first, and then switch. Okay, now I have it. So let's open Keynote again and play. There we go. So we created the storyboard and we wired in our table view. So this is it for the regular controllers. We saw how they work. Now let's look at a way to still contain controllers in controllers. So we have container controllers, and we will need two for this application. We will navigate from one view to another, and we will also make things visible in a tab, in a tabbed way. So what we need there is we need controllers that actually control other controllers. And the first one we will see is the UI navigation controller. And basically, this manages a stack, and really a stack as you know it, which you can push and pop, a stack of view controllers. So each time we push a new view controller, that one will become the top. And on top, you will see the view you navigated to. And when you, if you push and if you pop, it will go away. And the next, well, the previous one will show again. So that's how navigation controller does its job. You push things on it and you pop from it. Yeah, you can pop everything from it so you can return to the main view. Yeah? So in our application, let's now add the navigation controller because we will need it. So again, some demo. So again, some demo on how you do this. And I'm trying to switch back to my Xcode. Okay. So again, we will need the storyboard to do this. So I'm switching back, making the screen a bit larger so you can follow. So for now, my table view is just the entry point. We will need to change that because we want this table view to be the root of a navigation. And then if I click a cell or touch a cell, then I will go to the detail view. So that's what I'm starting to make here. So let's have a look here. We have the navigation controller. So let's move it in somewhere, okay? And you see that it automatically generates a table view for me, but I have already created one. So I'm going to get rid of this one. I don't need it. And I'm sorry for not completely, wait, let me make that bigger. So I don't think for now, yeah. Is that visually enough? Can you all see it? Yeah. Okay, so the navigation controller needs to be the starting point of our application. How do we do this? Well, we can just move the arrow here. So this is our starting point. You can just move that there. So now this is my starting point, but obviously it isn't connected to anything yet. So how do I tell them that my table view needs to be the base? Well, in the connection inspector, you can make connections, and in Interface Builder this is very nice. You have the circular icons here, you can just go over it, and now I can start drawing a line to where I want this to end up. So I want my table view to be the view root, and voila, there I have it, and automatically it created what we call a segue from the navigation controller to the table view. So now I see visually that this one is connected, and the little icon here shows me that it's a root controller. So that's how you can set the root controller of your navigation controller. So basically, this should work. So let me run that again. The only thing, and for people that are good, that notice, the only thing that changes is the bar, the toolbar came up. Yeah, because now we are in a navigation controller, and in that toolbar we will show the title of the current view. So let's do that for now. Let's change the title. So on my table view, and automatically Interface Builder notices that now it's in a navigation controller. So it's also showing this bar. So now let's change the title, and that I can do in the property. I can say, okay, this is my list of persons. So if I run this now, again, there we are, persons. Okay. So fine, we have one view controller, but obviously we need to add more. We want to be able to navigate to our detail. And our detail, we will put that in the tab bar control. But first, let me switch back to the presentation. To talk a bit about a tabbed controller. So the UI tab bar controller is what you see here on the screenshot. You see two tabs in this application. You can have up to 4, and then there's a trick to even add more, but then it will pop up. So for this application, 2 is enough, and we will have an image detail and a summary detail. We can add nice icons, we can put titles there. So this tab bar needs to be the next step in our navigation. Yeah? So a tab bar, again, is a controller itself, but it manages other controllers. And this time not in a stack, but just a collection of controllers. And depending on the tab you are selecting, it will show you the right controllers. So let's add the tab bar again to our little project. So there we go. We add in the tab bar controller. Let's put it there. Let's align it a bit so that you can see what happens. Come on. Doesn't want to. No. Okay, let's leave it there. Maybe I need to click here. Yeah, that works better. Okay. So I will put that one here. So it's next to the table view. And actually what I want to happen is that if I touch a cell, I want to navigate to this tab bar controller. So let's put that in. How do you do this? Again with the connection inspector. On the cell, and you need to be sure to select the right things. But I selected the cell, and now I can do something. I can trigger a segue, so that's a navigation, on selection. So let's do that. I will, again, draw a line from that little circle to here. And now it asks me how I want to present this view. Well, it's on a navigation, so I want to push it. So if I touch, this tab bar controller will pop in. And there you go. This is all I need to do. Yeah? So now I have this segue, and on a segue, it's always nice to have an identifier, because in code, you can also react on this segue. You can still do things, prepare things. We will need to do that, because we still need to pass that detail from one view to another. So let's call this show detail. That's it. So now I have this segue. I can push and pull. Obviously, I'm not going to see any data because I didn't provide any yet, but I can already navigate from one to another. So that's all it took. Not that much work, I guess. So things are there already. So that's the tab bar controller. Now, let's see what we need to do next. There we go. So working with outlets, that's what I already showed you when drawing lines. Actually, what we are doing is creating outlets. You can do this on your interface builder between components. You can also do this in code. So you can, with the aid of interface builder, you can automatically generate properties of views on your main view. So we can, for example, say, okay, I have this label and I want it to contain the name of my person. I will move it in. So I will draw a line to my code and automatically a property will appear. That's nice because now I can use this property in my code to fill in the gaps. Of course, interface builder is not able to provide data. That's something I need to do in code. And that's why we use this. So for adding the detail controller, basically what we are going to do is we are now going to fill in these two tabs. So let's do that. This is quite some work that needs to be done. So we already have the table view controller. Now let's switch back. Yeah, there it is. So now I navigated from the table controller, and you see also that there are segue-like that are arrows to this tab controller, saying that these two controllers are actually in the tab bar controller. So that's already done for us. Now the only thing we want to do is, first of all, let's change the title. The first tab will contain the summary. So let's make it summary. And I've prepared something for you guys as well to make it visually more acceptable what we are doing. So I will move in, and I closed it, but let me quickly look it up. So now it's here, and then I need to go there, and then I have it's the Big Bang. So I prepared some icons. So I prepared a detail icon. I don't know if it's visible enough. So this is the summary icon and an image icon. So those are prepared. I will talk about the special notations here. I will talk about that later. So just see me drag it in the project. So again, I open my navigator and I will put those icons again in the supporting files. making sure I copy it. And there they are. So now I can use them. So instead of just making a label, I can also set an image. So let's do that. Let's use, and it didn't see my, my changes yet, but actually you can type it just like that as well. But let me quickly switch. Then normally it should pick it up. So now I should see, there they are, the detail icon. So this is what I will use, and automatically it puts it in Interface Builder as well. So visually you see what you are doing. And then the second one needs to be the image. So let's call that image in here, image. And again, selecting the image icon this time. Okay. So again, I can just run this. It will work. It will not contain data, but things are looking better. Yeah. So it automatically, so the selections and things like that, that's the framework doing it for you. You can customize, but you will have some coding work then. So this is our tab view getting into shape. So now let's look what we need in the summary. Well, in the summary, we want, first of all, we want to show the real name of the person. So let's move a label in. Let me look for label. Well, you don't have to search. You can just type in the lower corner. It's falling off screen, but I'm typing label there. And then just move it in. And let Interface Builder help you with finding the right location. That makes it easy, believe me. It makes it easy. So I'm going to put the label there. And I'm going to call this label the person's real name. Yeah. And I will move in another label to actually contain the data. And again, I can align this. So you will see this jump to next to the label. So that's nice. And then here I can say, okay, this label will probably need to be a little bit longer. So let's move it there. And then, yeah, the value we will change later. But let's put for now should contain full name. For now. This shouldn't appear on screen once we have data. Yeah? So that's just a placeholder. You can also make it contain no text, but then you don't visually see what happens. So that's it. And now we can repeat the process. So we will move on some labels to contain, for example, the profession. In the example I showed you, I have more, but to win some time, I will only add 2. You get the rest. Should contain profession. And then what I will add is another label, but this time I want the summary. And the summary, so the bio of the person is rather large. So let's put this in another view. So profession, I'm not going to put in just a static label. I'm going to put it in a text view. So this is another view available to us, the text view. And actually, this is scrollable. So automatically it will scroll for me. So what I will do is I will move it in underneath, and I will make it so that it can use all space I have. So I will draw it to there. And something I didn't show you yet, but actually, at the moment, the Interface Builder is configured for iPhone 5, so larger screen. Yeah, but I can still design iPhone 4-ish. So I can just make this smaller by clicking this button here. Yeah, you see it pop. So that makes a visual aid to see what happens if you run your application on a smaller device. So Interface Builder does things for you as well. And you will see, if I select the box is nicely resizing with it. This is auto layout, doing its job. I will not explain in detail auto layout. Come to the session this afternoon, we will play with it. But take it for me, if you use auto layout, and that's why I said let Interface Builder put the things in the right place, you will have a nice layout, and automatically things resize when screens rotate and things like that. So I've created my text view. Now, to be able to put data in this, I will show you another editor. If you look at this pane here, you have the assistant editor, and automatically this switches to my code. Well, actually, I didn't create a view controller yet, so it switches to the default UI view controller. I cannot do much with that. So let's first create another controller class, and let's call this one. So I create a new file again. Again, it's an object, so I should go to the Cocoa Touch category, select Objective-C class. And then it will be a regular view controller this time. So no table view controller. I don't have a table anymore. And let's make this our summary detail view controller. Yeah. So now I can create this one, leaving the code for what it is right now and switching back to storyboard. And now on my storyboard, again, I can wire in to the identity inspector, making sure that I select the right thing. I can now say that I want the summary detail view. And again, it already sees that I'm there. And if you looked closely, it switched automatically here underneath in the assistant editor, actually. It switched to that class. So this makes it easy to do what I'm about to do now. So I'm going to directly switch to the M file because I don't want the exterior world to know about the outlets I have. So again, I will use my regular class to connect the dots. So in this case, I want the label to be my class. So later on, I can populate that label with data. So I will select, and here you have new referencing outlet. So I will draw a line again and move it in. And what that does is it pops up another dialog, and it asks me for a name. So let's make that the real name label, making sure I suffix it with something that later on I will understand, so I know it's a label. So real name label, and you automatically see that the type is UI label. You also see that it will be a strong reference, and it will be an outlet. So let's connect that one, and voila. Automatically, it generates for me an instance variable. So that I can do. I can do something else which is nicer. So I will remove the instance variable, and let's do that again. So in here I will remove the connection as well. You need to take care. If you delete code, interface builder will not pick it up. So you will need to correct it. But let's now move a property here. So I will create the property, again, real name label, and this creates a property. That's nicer. So we use the class extension. Again, I didn't explain it, but take it from me. You add a property, but this property is invisible to the outside world. Yeah, that's what I'm doing here. So I created a property for my real name label, and now I can use self real name label. Yeah, that's why I did this. So if I want to populate this with data, I can now use this property. So let's do that for the rest. Another property, doesn't matter where I add it. So this is the profession label. And another label, no, the text view. So let's connect also the text view with a new referencing outlet to our code. And this we'll call bio text view. Not making any mistakes. Okay. So this is my text view that I wired into the code. So I'm ready to put things in the working. So let's play with that already. We don't have the person yet, but let's manipulate it anyway. So let's add some fun code, yeah, just for the demo, where we say that the real name, so self dot real name label should contain the text of the label. Yeah, should be at some person. Yeah. If I run this now, if the demo gods are willing, we should see that some person is there. Yeah. I put in interface builder should contain the full name or the real name, but in code I changed it to some person. So that's why I made these connections. Yeah. So that's cool. I can now put values in this person, but I don't have the person yet. So again, some more experienced code, I must say, to pass the person that was selected in the table view to our detail view. And what we are going to do for that is actually we are going to create a new tab view controller. So again, a new class. This time of type UI tab bar view controller, I think it is. Tab bar view controller, come on. Tab view controller maybe? I don't know this by heart, I should. Tab bar view No, it's just controller, that's it. Yeah, that's the one. Strangely enough, they decided to not call this view controller. Yeah. So UI tab bar controller, and we will make this just the detail view controller, because actually that's the one that will get the detail, the person. Okay. So I will create this class, not changing anything for the moment, and we will again in interface builder tell the interface builder that instead of using the default tab bar controller, I want to use mine. So I will create the detail view controller here. I will point to it, and again my assistant helps me with pinpointing that location. So what do we need to do to get this person? Well, typically what we do is we make sure that, and let me switch to the normal view again, this will be nicest to edit. So what we will do on this detail view is we will register a person. So registering a person, this we can do with a property, right? So again, I will make a property non-atomic and strong, because we want to keep a reference to our person once we are on this view, and of type person. Let's just call it person. The compiler will of course complain because I didn't do the import yet. So let's import the person as well. So there you go. So what I can do now is I can already put the person coming from the table view on this tab bar controller. Yeah. So this is my entry point for doing stuff. So on the table view controller, and this is my master view controller, what I didn't show you yet is that actually when you perform a segue, there is an entry point in your code to do this. So let's add that. So I have pragma mark, making the code clean again, and I call this section the navigation section, yeah, just to make it more beautiful. And what I have actually is, by default, on UI view controllers, you have this method perform a segue with identifier. No, that's not the one. That's not the one. I'm sorry. You have, let me have a quick look in my code. Prepare for segue, that's the one. So again, prepare for segue. This is just a method. And this one is called when I touch the table cell. I said I want to do a segue. So this one will be called for that touch. So prepare for segue. And what that gives me is that segue. This is in fact the instance of that arrow that was drawn between the two controllers. And the sender is actually, in this case, the table cell. But you need to check. So what we will do first is we will check the identifier of the segue. And if you remember, we put it on show detail. So let's first check if this segue that is passed in, its identifier, and this time we will do the Java thing, we will make sure that the content of the string is equal. So we will do is equal to string. And the string needs to be show detail. It would be nicer to put it in constants, but for the demo, this is enough. So if it is show detail, I now know that in code, I know that I am going to my tab bar controller. So it's safe to say, okay, this will be my tab bar controller that I'm going to, and actually you can access this again on the segue. You have a destination view controller. So name says it itself, the destination view controller, and we know for sure that this is our detail view controller. Yeah. So let's import on the top of our class, import our detail view controller. And then now I'm going to use that pragma mark I used to easily go back to the code I was writing. And now I can say, okay, cast this to detail. Again, a cast is the same as in Java. So you just put parentheses around it. So detail view controller. So this is the controller I want to be able to put the person on. Needs to know that the person is set, so we will, and since we added the property, we can now say, okay, its person is, and now drum bells, its person is, actually, we need to ask the table view for its current selection. Let me have a look that I don't make any mistakes. This is the, so table view doesn't exist, obviously, it's self dot table view, not that one, table view. Yeah. So this is the table view we are seeing. and then you can use the index path for selected row. Actually, I need to put this in another variable. So this is that NS index path again. So if it isn't passed in, you can get it in this way, index path. So I will assign the result of that method on index path, and now I have the index path, so I can go and again use my person's mutable array to get me the row I need. So I'm actually putting that person in the table, into the tab bar controller. Yeah. So now, from the tab bar controller, I will be able to access the person, but in the tab bar controller itself, obviously, I'm not showing things. I'm showing things in the summary detail view controller. So how is this guy going to know that something needs to be done? Well, let's have a look. We will actually use, and this is to show you that actually you have always an access to your parent controller. So what we will do now is we will, in the view did load of the summary detail view controller, we will actually go and look up the person via the root controller. So what we will do here is we will ask self parent view controller, and again we know from the interface builder, we know that this parent view controller actually is our tab bar controller. So again, I can import it. Import the detail view controller. And so I can now cast this one to the detail view controller. Again, making a variable for it would be nice. So let's call that parent. And then from the parent, again, since I included now the header, it knows that that parent has a person object. So now I have my person. I can easily use it in here. Instead of using some person, I can now say real name. And there we go. So let's fill in the other gaps. So we have the real name. We also had the profession label. So that's this guy, and text, parent, dot person. Maybe it's nicer to put it in a variable as well, but for the demo this works. And profession again. And then for the text view, it's the same thing. So that was the bio text view dot text equals parent dot person dot bio. There we go. The only thing I didn't do yet, now this text view, let me first fix that before I show you. So the text view by default is editable. So that means if the user taps in this region, automatically a keyboard will pop up, but we don't need this here. So we will make that, again with the property inspector, we will make this not editable. So the behavior, I switch it off. I say, I don't want it to be editable. So let's hope this works. So if I go here, there we go. Johnny Galacki is there. This is actually Leonard, but we don't see it's Leonard, so that's not nice. So let's fix that as well. So it would be nice that if we switch to here, that we automatically see the title there. Yeah? So how can we do this? Well, basically, it's very, very easy. When the table view gets loaded, we normally have the person object already. So, and basically you make a configure view method to do everything in it. So let's first provide a void method configure view. Configure, come on, configure view. Okay. And in here we will say self dot, let me have a tool, it's not toolbar items, I will need to check self.title, because the title of the controller is used in the toolbar. If the toolbar sees that at this current moment you don't have a title, you can just set the title on the controller and it will take it over. So we'll just do self.title and then use it. So we have our person, so we can say self.person dot, let's say first name, so that's name. So let's have a look. Yeah, of course I will need to call the configure view myself in my view did load. The reason why I'm doing this is In this case, in this demo, this will work just fine. But the problem is sometimes with timings, the person is set later than the view did load is called. So this code won't do anything if the person is set later. And again, if the person changes, this one will not pick it up. So a minor improvement I will do is I will generate the set person myself. Yeah. So the getter I leave alone, that's okay, but the set person I change to, again, a check if the person that is passed in doesn't equal the person I already have. If it doesn't, I can safely assign it there, and I can also call the configure view, like this. So when the person changes, automatically my view will update as well. That's a nice thing. We will also see that this tab bar needs to do more. It needs to do more. Why? Because this tab bar contains other controllers. And because it contains other controllers, this tab bar will know that the person changed, but the subcontrollers will not know. So let's do a little trick. Let's take the for each loop and let's iterate over all our view controllers. So I have UI view controllers. So UI view, let's make it small in self. And what you can do on a tab bar controller is you can ask the contained view controllers with the property view controllers. This is again an NS array. So what we have then is we can now nicely iterate over them, and we can check. And this is a demo on the dynamicity of Objective-C. Instead of calling the configure view method just like that, you first need to check. So what we will do, I'm sorry, I'm going a bit fast there, maybe, but in the summary view, we will also provide a configure view. So let's do that first. We will just add it, and I'm not adding this to the configure view, just to show you how this really works in Objective-C. So I will add a configure view. Let's put it also here. I will add a configure view. Figures view. Making sure that I don't make typos, because otherwise, of course, it won't work. And then let's move this code over there and just call the configure view from here. So here we go. Yeah. So what can I do with this? Well, now I'm able, in my detail view controller, when I iterate, I can check if my controller reacts to configure view. Configure view is something that doesn't exist. Take it from me, it doesn't exist in the default world. So we will check. And how do you do this? Actually, you can do response to selector, and then you need to make a selector. This is very specific Objective-C, so if you don't get it by now, that's logical. But this is how you check if something responds to a certain selector. And so I say, do you respond to configure view? Why am I showing you this in an introduction? Because you will probably see it in code, in example codes. So this just checks, can I call the configure view method on this UI view controller? And I didn't cast anything. I just do controller, do you respond to this selector? And if it does, I can safely call it. So now I can say controller configure. And you will see my editor doesn't help me. Why doesn't he do that? Well, because I said it is a UI view controller. UI view controller doesn't contain configure view. Like I said, to resolve that problem, let's use Objective-C in its full dynamic way. You change this to ID. It can be anything. We know it's a view controller, but it can be anything. And since we are doing dynamic code, it's safe to do so. So now I can do configure view, and now it sees, it knows about the configure view method. So now it will complete that code for me. So that's it. So now automatically not only the title will be filled in, but I will configure the subviews as well. Yeah. So actually in the view did load, I might not need that configure view. So here in the summary detail view, I still call it in the view did load. Wait. Did I? Yeah. I didn't copy paste correctly, I guess. Let me have a look. Where did I add that configure view method? Oh, yeah. I did this wrong, guys. So this one, it's nice, it can stay here, but that was on the master. Of course, the master doesn't need this really. So let's redo this. I will add the configure view here. So this is like we need to do it. So in the configure view, we will repeat the steps, and then we call self-configure view. So this is just a safeguard. Again, having to do with timings. You know that the configure view is already called, and I still have a problem. Yeah, of course, I need to move the parent as well. Okay, so it's not too bad that you do things 2 times. It doesn't cost enough, a lot of. If you want, you can still check, is this text equal to, but actually, take it from me, this property will check if you put in the same text or not. And if it's the same text, it will do nothing. So that's already optimized. So go ahead and do it twice, that doesn't matter. Yeah? So we have the configure view in the view.load, and we will call it also from the detail view controller in this step. So now we will be sure that our view just works. So let us see if that person is filled in as title. Going ahead and doing this. So real name is Johnny Galaki and experimental physicist. And now we have this title. Yeah. So for the last step, and then that concludes the demo because my time is almost up. So let's now add to the image view another view. This will be very quick. So let's add the image view and making sure it nicely centers in my view and making it a little bit smaller here. Let's have a look if I can manage to make it smaller. Actually, this should be an exact size. It's like 280 by something, but this will work as well. So again, Interface Builder will help me centralize this. Why do I center it? Because if you make it smaller, you want this image to stay in the center. So that's why you really need to look for the center of this view. Yeah? So it will automatically set this, and it will also keep the size, because it wouldn't be nice if my image got stretched out or collapsed. So it's nicer to keep the same width and height here. So now let's make a class. It's a new view controller, so we need to make a new UI view controller. So let's make this the image detail view controller. Detail view controller, there we go. And again, we will switch back to the storyboard and wire in what we need. So basically, the only thing we need here is switching to the assistant. We will make a connection between this image view and our code. I didn't get the right one. Yeah, because I didn't set a class yet. So in the inspector view again, you will need the image detail view controller. And on that image detail view controller, now it switches. So in the M file, again, going to the outlets, I will connect the dots. There we go. So this is just the image view. And now let's also make this configure view. So again, in the view.load, I will use the self-configure view method. And here I will use, again, void configure view. And then I can use the image view.image. And this is, again, some Objective-C code. Actually, you can take them, again, out of the resource bundle. And you can do this by, sorry, mistyped there. So UI image has a convenience method for this image named. And actually, I did this by using the identifier of the person. So again, I will need a person, but this I can copy-paste from the other view. So where is the M file? Here it is. So this I can just copy-paste in. Obviously, I will also need the import. So let me switch to regular edit mode. So I will need the person. I will have to import the detail view controller again. And now I can use this person person's identifier actually. So the, sorry, parent dot person dot identifier. And actually, again, I prepared some images. They are in my images folder. And actually, this is the images. And I can move them back in on under my supported. And this will just work. Yeah. I'm not too sure about the identifier though. Let me first have a look. Oh no, there's image right. Yeah, I didn't put it there. It's just the image property, actually, the image name. Sorry for that. So the image name contains this file path. So this will just work. So again, view did load is called. So let's check. Going to Sheldon. Well, it doesn't. We will fix it in a minute. So I probably put something wrong in the interface builder. Let's have a look. So checking if this is okay. Image, yeah, this is a typo, so be sure. So image detail. Sorry? Okay. Image, yeah, that was a typo. Okay, so the class is okay, apparently. Yeah. So let's see what happens. Well, nothing, because I didn't really change anything, did I? Let's see if I wired in everything correctly. I should. So, yeah, I seem to fail to show you this. Somewhere I made a wrong connection. But you should see anyone that sees what's wrong, maybe. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, that's the problem. Yeah, thank you. Good call. Yeah, indeed. So this is a tab bar controller. I don't need this. This needs to be a UI view controller. Let's now look what that gives. Thank you. And let's hope. Yeah, there's Howard. So voila, this is the demo. Whew. So you guys, I didn't switch. So you guys, I didn't switch to the presentation anymore. This is all explaining auto layout, points and pixels, but I don't have time anymore. So this afternoon I will explain this as well, the difference between that regular image file and the image file with the add2x that has to do with retina and non-retina. That leaves me some time to answer your questions. There are microphones over there, so go to the mic so everyone can hear what you ask. Hi.
Are you able to mix ARC code with older code?
Yeah.
It's okay to mix the older style.
You can, but you should. So the question is, can you mix old style code with new style code? So yeah, definitely. You can migrate from one way of working to another. Your old code will 99% of the times it will keep working. So that's okay. But if you switch to new style code, you basically have some tools in Xcode to help you with that as well. So yeah, you can use the tool. Yeah. Other questions? Nobody? Yeah.
I would like to ask about iOS 5.
Yeah.
Will this code generated for iOS 6 will work on?
No, that will not. So the question is, will this code that I generated now, will it work on iOS 5? No, it will not, because you are using new features that weren't available in iOS 5. So you can, iOS 6, your old code will work in iOS 6, but not the other way around. It's not two ways compatible. So no, that will not work. Yeah. Anyone else? Nobody? Okay. So then that leaves me to thank you for your attention. So again, contact me at Mike Seghers. This is my tweet handle. So contact me if you get any other questions. I will be happy to answer them as soon as possible. And thank you for coming, guys. Bye-bye.